Okay. So, before we jump back into some stuff, you may have noticed I've added quite a few shows to this since it started. Um, yeah, so let's just jump into it. The ones that I've added, the Kaguya-sama TV special, because it aired on December 31st, so it's technically part of the fall season. The second Mononoke movie, which apparently this is technically the wrong color actually, because this actually aired in this actually came out in August, I believe, and I just completely missed it. So that's a summer season show. And then 100 Meters also became available for streaming on the 31st. So that one's going in here as well. So, in any case, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Stairway to Adulthood. This is the new Kaguya-sama TV special that comes right after the movie. Y'all know I love Kaguya. I'm hyped for this. Let's jump into it. Feels good to be back. It's like slipping into your favorite pair of shoes that you haven't worn in a while. Just watched Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Stairway to Adulthood. Short little 2-episode TV special aired on New Year's Eve. I'm happy that this was all subbed and ready to go before the end of the year, so I could cap off my my media thread with it. But yeah, in a lot of ways, it's just more Kaguya-sama. I was a little worried that it would be a little less ambitious than previous entries because it's just a TV special, but I don't think that's really the case. I would say that this is this is on par with the seasons of the TV series. I haven't seen the movie since it came out, so I can't use that for comparison. It's been, oh god, how many years has it been now? 2 years, I think. I can't even remember when that movie came out, because season 3 was 2021, right? I think. And so I think the movie was 2023. Somewhere in there, or 2024, who knows. Anyway, this was really fun. This is a continuation after the movie where Shirogane and Kaguya are in a relationship now and are doing relationship things. This is the thing that I want rom-coms to do more of. And we're starting to see this a lot more with more modern rom-coms of actually getting into the relationship and stuff. But this has been if you're a bit of an older anime fan, or at least from my generation or older of anime fans, you know that anime has had a problem for a while with rom-coms of not getting to the relationship part, and it's mostly just pining and wacky rom-com shenanigans. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when the field is just that, it gets a little tiresome, and you kind of want to see not just a resolution at the very end, but you want to see them do relationship things. You want to see that part of it, and Kaguya's got that for you. We've got them doing fun relationship things, the meekness of how far to take things, hey, parents aren't home, want to come over? That was a very funny and also very heartwarming section of the episode. That's the only panel of the manga that's ever been spoiled for me, is the wake up afterwards. It's the we ended up doing it anyway panel. That's the only thing from this manga that was ever spoiled for me. But still very worth it. And surprisingly hot. There was a lot of effort put into some particular cuts there, even though we don't really see a whole lot of anything. This is not ecchi by any stretch of the imagination, but it's kind of hot. And yeah, the Kaguya and Shirogane's relationship is just, it's good. They have perfect chemistry with each other, even when they are like being immensely nervous around each other. It's just the perfect amount of like angst and stuff. All of the bits were very funny, just a lot of very funny ideas, as Kaguya usually does with their episodic stories. Although, that does take me into, I guess, what my biggest critique with this special is, and what will probably be my biggest critique with Kaguya going forward, because we already got an announcement of the final chapter. They seem to be skipping a lot of stuff. Like, I know there is supposed to be some stuff with Ishigami going on. Like, I have heard rumblings of that from the manga readers, and that is just like completely absent. It's like, I know there was stuff that happened during the events of the movie that we only like very briefly got hints of. Maybe that stuff will show up in the final chapter. I kind of doubt that it will. But I can still hold out for that stuff, because like Ishigami is such a cool character. We barely got any Miko stuff. We got a little bit of I've already forgotten her name. I'm so terrible. I am getting worse and worse and worse with names. The pink-haired girl. This is really annoying me. I should absolutely know who you are. It really annoys me that I can't remember names for people anymore. Fujimura, that's what it was. I got to it before I pulled up the mail list. Chika Fujimura. Fujiwara. Yeah. Man, that's annoying that I was never good with names, but it's getting worse. But yeah, some very fun bits with Fujiwara. The Among Us reference, of course. I forgot to check when this manga ended, but like, I guess that, because like there's a bit in the first episode of this where the dad becomes a VTuber, or he just becomes a regular YouTuber, but he starts by trying to become a VTuber. And I was wondering like when exactly the VTuber boom was. And if I recall correctly, I guess based around when this portion of the manga happened, I think this would have been roughly around that time. So it's interesting that it just lines up. It's like even more relevant now than it was back then. If that's the joke that they made in the original manga, and it wasn't just like an add-on for the modern day. Because like even back then, VTubing wasn't like nothing, but it was still much more niche than it is now. And so it's just a funny bit. Lots of funny bits in this, really, and just incredible artistic talent on display. There is so much the way that they mess with character models in these very fun ways. This is what I really think Kaguya-sama is one of the few, this might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I think Kaguya-sama is one of the few anime nowadays that really takes advantage of what you can do with digital animation. In particular, like what you can do, I should specify, for comedic purposes. What you can do for comedic purposes with like modern digital art techniques. with like these smears and the way that colors move around and stuff. It's just so very cool and very fun. And just the massive color contrasts and how that adds to the comedy and such. It's just so very good. This is, yeah, I'm surprised that this was just as solid a production as previous seasons for this just being a 2-episode TV special. Because I'm used to, again, if you're a longtime anime fan, you're kind of used to like TV specials being kind of like they're not usually quite up to snuff, but this is definitely up to snuff. I was a little, I will say the framing device for these 2 episodes is a little, just a little shaky in that it's the dial, because it's framed as Kaguya looking back on like memories of high school and stuff, and I guess just her dialogue feels a little bit unnatural, but other than that, it works as a good framing device because it also builds up a little tension of like, oh, are they still together, or has she like moved on and is she just looking back on fun memories? But then we get the answer at the very end. They are still together, yes. Also, can't believe I almost forgot to mention this. Fucking Aoi Koga swooping in at the very last minute with a fucking phenomenal voice acting performance. Probably the best voice acting performance of the year, at least as far as I can remember. I'm sure there's some more dramatic ones that were a little better, maybe some stuff from Taco P or Chainsaw Man. But man, at least in terms of like comedic performances or romance performances, she is absolutely fucking knocking it out of the park. She is so goddamn good at being this character. And on top of that, combined with the very bouncy and lively animation, it's just so fucking perfect. And the just more standard, very beautiful animation, the way that that Kaguya's character is drawn in this is just so perfect. That goes for all of the characters, but you know, Kaguya's got such a fucking iconic design at this point that it works. This was very fun. Looking forward to how the final chapter of this wraps up. And if I feel like I'm missing something, I might just go back and read the manga. Initially, I read the first couple chapters of this before the anime was even announced, and honestly, I didn't like it. But my taste has changed so much since then that maybe I'll give it another go. I've also heard that Akasaka's art vastly improves as the manga goes on. So I'll have to go back and see what I think of the first volume at some point. That would definitely be an interesting thing to do. But yeah, Kaguya-sama is still good. Yay.
Alright, the Kaguya-sama TV special is complete. We're going to go and put you... we're going to put you in the number 8 spot with a strong 8. Slightly disappointing because of the cut content, but still, it's Kaguya, so it's real damn good. Okay. Next, we have Tougen Anki. This is a Netflix license and a 2-cour show that I have not heard anyone talk about, probably because it's a Netflix license or because it's bad. Could be one or the other, could be both. Let's find out.
Okay, so that's just Blue Exorcist, but worse in every conceivable way. And I don't even like Blue Exorcist that much. Also, instead of instead of Western devils and such, it's Momotaro and Oni, I guess. The main character is a descendant of Oni, and he's being hunted down by the descendants of Momotaro, which is a fun premise. It's a shame the show is very, very bad. I'm not sure how far I got into it, probably like 7 or 8 minutes. But it's just like plot event, exposition, plot event, exposition, plot event, exposition. Not an ounce of fucking character in it. Well, I'll give it a little bit, and there's a tiny amount, but not nearly enough to be like interesting. Like, it's just rattling off like plot point, plot point, plot point, plot point, and it's so tedious and boring. And the main character is just a cunt. He is just the worst. Like, normally, so with this kind of, alright, let's use Blue Exorcist as an example. When you are writing a character who is rude and nasty and just generally like rough and tumble, aggressive kind of guy, before all of the plot stuff kicks off, you want to put in some personality traits that make him likable. Like, he's misunderstood, or he's trying his best but he fails, or he can't control his temper even though he wants to. Oh, Rudo is a good example of that. But they don't do that here, because the writing for this show sucks. And also, it's not particularly good looking. The action cuts are decent, and they're well framed, but the character designs fucking suck shit. And the color direction is pretty eh. So, I'm not sure how this got 2 cores. I'm not sure who made it, but they suck. This sucks.
Okay, Tougen Anki sucks shit. Get it off the list. Next, Watari-kun's Beep is about to collapse. This is another 2-core one. Did not see anybody talking about this one. I saw the manga get hyped up a while ago, but also I don't know anybody who's reading it. So I guess, let's see if the provocative title actually has something to it.
You know, I didn't realize until now that we've been on a pretty not terrible streak of color direction this season. There wasn't a lot, as far as I can remember, that I've seen so far, although I'm already forgetting some stuff that I've watched, but as far as I can tell, there hasn't been a lot of stuff this season where the color direction was just terrible until now. Watari-kun's Beep is about to collapse. First of all, fuck this title. Incredibly misleading. There's nothing... I didn't get very far into this. I got 3 minutes into it because it's just so boring and bad looking. But I read the fucking synopsis, and there's nothing in it that seems to relate to that title. It's just like it's bait. The title is bait. So fuck you. Like, more appropriate title would be like Watari-kun's Ordinary Life is about to collapse. That would be a better title for this, instead of just a censor. So, fuck you for that, first of all. Second of all, back to the color direction. It is just... It's not garish in the way that I'm normally used to with anime, where it's like either weird Technicolor vomit or drab gray ickiness. It's neither of those. It's just this weird muddy mix of colors. Like, it looks like they were being colorful deliberately to be colorful in certain instances, but the color designer doesn't know color theory. Not that you necessarily need theory, but it helps, because, like, nothing visually is pleasing to look at in this. It's just so... It's either too much contrast or too much... what's the opposite of contrast? Similarity. Shut up. It's just this muddy, gross mix of stuff. So, like, I do not want to look at this anymore. It is just so visually unappealing. Get it out of my face.
Fuck you, title bait. Get off my list. Goodbye. Little Miss Vampire Can't Suck Right is next. And another one that I had not heard anyone talk about. Seems like it could be fun. I feel like the premise is right in the title there. So, yeah, I got nothing. Let's try it out.
Man, what a waste of a really good character design. I get halfway through the first episode of Little Miss Vampire Can't Suck Right, and it's just not very funny. Like, it's just... I see the jokes, and I think in my head, oh, I guess that was kind of funny. But, like, I'm not laughing. I've noticed anime comedies are like the highest bar for to clear for my personal taste. Like, if it's just a plain old comedy, like no other elements, no romance, no fantasy, just a plain old comedy, that has one of my highest failure rates. Although this technically has some fantasy elements in it because it's got like yokai and monsters and stuff in it. But for all intents and purposes, it's just a straightforward comedy. And the only thing you can do with that is make me laugh. And if you can't make me laugh, then I'm not going to watch it, which is a little disappointing because, again, I really, really, really like the character design for Ishikawa, the main girl in this series, this vampire who is terrible at sucking blood. As compared to the audience stand-in for this series, who is so generic that he doesn't even have a mouth. Like, you can't be more on the nose than that. It's... yeah. But main critique is it's just not funny. It looks fine, but what else do I say? It's just not funny. I'm disappointed that it's just not funny. Where is my joy in life? Am I too corrupted by fucking brain rot and social media shit? Oh no, I'm not, because I was laughing at Amazing Digital Circus a while ago. So, I watched that on Christmas Eve. So, technically it was Christmas Day when I watched that. You know what? Go watch Amazing Digital Circus. That's fucking hilarious. This isn't.
Yeah, it's not quite all the way there, unfortunately. Little Miss Vampire Can't Suck Right is off the list. Alright. A mangaka's weirdly wonderful workplace. Another one that I had not heard anyone talk about. A lot of shows on here that I just have not seen anybody say anything about. I'm gonna guess this is just a straightforward comedy of stuff or something. Maybe it's Comic Girls-esque. I hope. One can always hope that stuff is like Comic Girls. Let's give it a shot.
Gonna throw this one into the same camp as the vampire one, where it's just not funny. Shut up, computer. Although this one's even less funny than the vampire one. minutes of procrastination jokes. I made it through a little over 5 minutes of this Mangaka show, and it's just not funny. I don't... Look, it's like 1:30 a.m. I'm very tired, and this show is very not funny. It's nothing. It's just a very bland, unfunny comedy. I don't particularly enjoy the character designs. They're super bland. Noises. I got nothing, man. This show's just I struggle the most with the comedies, just the straightforward comedies, to talk about them, because usually it's the one thing that doesn't work, and it's the one thing is the comedy, and it doesn't work. That's the end of it. It just doesn't work.
Okay, that one was just not particularly good. Off the list. Next up, Mononoke the movie, Chapter 2, The Ashes of Rage. Alright, I really liked the movie from last year. I really liked the TV series. Everybody should watch Mononoke. It's very good. I'm hyped for more Mononoke. Let's jump in.
Yes. More of that good shit. Just watched Mononoke, the movie Chapter 2, The Ashes of Rage. It's a follow-up to the movie from last year, which was Phantom in the Rain, which was a revival of the original Mononoke series from 2008, which is actually a sequel to Ayakashi, Japanese Horror Stories, which is the only part of this franchise now that I have not seen yet. We'll get to that. I will get to that eventually. But for now, second film in what I think is going to be a trilogy. Maybe more. I would certainly love more, because, although as long as it keeps this quality, because this is one of the few anime franchises to receive a reboot slash sequel slash whatever over a decade after its original run, to actually benefit from that revival. Because most of the times when that happens, it's an ill-conceived remake, or just a really bland remake, or a sequel that nobody asked for that's of significantly lower quality. But I would argue that this is at least at the same quality as the original Mononoke, if not more. This is really damn good. Refer back to the fall season of last year when I covered Phantom in the Rain for all of the things that I'm just going to repeat now. This is an incredibly well shot film. The set mise-en-scène, the set design, the costume design, character designs, all of the aesthetics of this are top-notch. It can be easy to get lost in the multicoloredness of it all, but I think for the most part it retains its outline, its sense of self fairly well without getting lost in any mush or anything. I think the action scenes are even better than the last film. If I recall correctly, I think the last film I complained about the action being a little too fast and a little slightly difficult to follow. This one, it's just even stronger, a little bit clearer in its presentation. Perhaps because the Mononoke this time has a little bit more of a concrete appearance, or I guess a more recognizable appearance, with that being a rat or a mouse. I'm not sure if rat or mouse would be the more appropriate translation in this case. But in terms of substance, this show really likes to talk about women and pregnancy. So if you've seen the original series, the first arc of the original series is about a woman who was forced to have an abortion, or was going to be forced to have an abortion. And so that was the impetus for the Mononoke in that case. And this one is similar, but not exact. It is much less about the shame of a improper birth, I guess. Whereas the first in the Mononoke TV series, if I recall correctly, it was about this woman was never supposed to have a baby, and thus it would bring shame to her, I believe, if she raised it, and it would bring shame to the people around her. I'm not entirely sure if that's what happened, but whereas this time it is about the power struggle that would result from this baby being born to Lady Tokiko, I believe, Yuki. Now, by the way, side tangent. I believe last time I mentioned the incredibly powerful voice cast for the main characters of the show. In the last arc, it was Tomio Kurosawa who was the main character. In this arc, it is Yoko Hisaka, or Hikasa, who I can't name her roles off the top of my head, but she is in fucking everything. She's everywhere. She's got this very powerful voice. And on top of that, we have the other character, Botan, who has recently been appointed as the administrator of the Oku for this movie, voiced by Haruka Tamatsu, who you will probably know best as Asuna from Sword Art Online, though I would argue that is definitely not her best role. I would argue that this is one of her best roles so far, just in terms of the sheer emotion and the betrayal that she experiences in this. From this, not necessarily betrayal, but sort of betrayal of expectations, I guess. But anyway, this film is about the power struggle that would result from a birth from someone who is not the person who is supposed to give birth to the heir of the emperor, but could potentially do so, and a history of people in power controlling who gives birth to the heir and taking away the children of those who are not supposed to. And much like with the whole fire theme of this, we have embers, we have flames, and we have sparks. It is this spark of a overturn of the natural order. We're seeing that theme a lot lately, haven't we? We've been seeing that theme a lot lately. The spark that will start a flame that will turn into inferno that will burn out of control and take down the pre-established order of things. We've been seeing that a lot lately in media, haven't we? Anyway, I will say I'm not going to say the characterization isn't strong for this one, but it's not the main focus for this film as it was in the past film. In the past film, it was Asa and I forget what the other girl's name was, Kame, I think, where the film was very much centered on the friendship, budding, whatever kind of relationship those two women had in that film, and how the stratified nature of their society and the expectations placed on them forces them into very uncomfortable situations in how they relate to each other. This one is sort of a much more of a continuation plot-wise of what has happened after the fallout of that, and how the internal order of the Oku is continuing to be shaken up despite some really nasty people in power desperately clinging to that power and desperately trying to hold everything in place, when the natural progression of things is suggesting that it should move in a new direction, but these people are just constantly clinging to the old ways and how they think things should be done, and the horror that results from that, with the Lady Suzu character being the manifestation of the Mononoke in this instance. I forget who who manifested the Mononoke in the first film, but seems to be a lot of grudges of dead women in the Oku in this one. It's very similar to Apothecary Diaries in a way, of how the women of the Oku or the Inner Palace, whatever, or Rear Palace, whatever royal structure is in place, does things to women that result in tragedy, and how that tragedy is now spinning out of control. Yeah, it's more of that, and it's very good. I guess as a final note, this is another, once again, Taku Iwasaki, I believe, on the soundtrack for this one. Not quite as bold as his work on Gachikuta, but still very strong. We got one hip-hop track in there, I believe. But this one's less about Iwasaki just running wild and doing whatever the fuck he wants, and more so like him shaping the tension and the rising and swelling of action and intensity throughout this film. I think it's a little bit less jarring than his work on the first film. It doesn't stand out quite as much, but I think it definitely does its job for the most part. I also like the growing importance of I forget what his name is, but the guy character in this who's been around for forever in the Oku and is serving as, like, I guess a guard of sorts for it, and how he is putting more and more trust in the medicine seller as things go. How everyone is just starting to trust the medicine seller more and more, despite his obvious shadiness and the fact that he's just not supposed to be there. Hiroshi Kamiya as the medicine seller, I believe that's who's playing him, is just a perfect casting and perfectly conveys the allure of his weirdness in a way, or not his weirdness, but just sort of his disconnect from the people constantly shouting at him that he's not supposed to be there, and just him ignoring that and getting down to the business of Mononoke hunting. This was another really, really damn good entry into this franchise. I am very much looking forward to the third movie, which I believe is called Curse of the Serpent. Mononoke is really damn good.
Alright, new Mononoke movie is complete. We're going to go pretty dang high up on the list here, and we're going to put you in the number 6 spot with a strong 8. A lot of strong 8s this season. A lot of stuff that's like, I would consider almost a favorite. Honestly, I'm feeling them If I keep thinking about this one, I might bump it up to a light 9. But, like, dang, that was some really solid stuff. Alright. Now it's time for an end cap. Ranma 1/2, second season. I didn't really see a lot of people talking about this season as in comparison to the first season. Maybe it's just that the newness has worn off, or maybe this season's doesn't have as strong a content. I believe this is the season where Happosai is going to get introduced, so that could definitely drag it down a bit. I haven't really seen people talking about him though, although I really haven't seen a lot of talk about this season in general. But you know what? I really liked the first season. Let's jump into this one and see how it do.
The perils of a long-running shonen rom-com that never gets to a relationship. Such is life. I got through about 9.5 episodes of Ranma 1/2 Season 2. Very disappointing. This remake is amplifying now a lot of the problems that I had with the manga, which is what I was afraid of after Season 1, because I really liked Season 1, but I could also see, and I talked about this in both the seasonal wrap-up show for that one and in my in my main channel video where I did like a seasonal recap, where I was like, I could see the constant will they won't they becoming a thorn in my side, but I did not expect it to accelerate this quickly. He's like, here's the thing. I appreciate Rumiko Takahashi. I think it's really cool how many hits she's had. Urusei Yatsura, Ranma 1/2, Inuyasha. And I have tried every major Rumiko Takahashi manga that has been printed in English so far. And the only one that I've finished is Mermaid Saga. Because A, it's short, and B, it's just a straight drama series. Because I think Rumiko Takahashi can write drama really well. Her comedy is so hit and miss because her comedy relies a lot on people just being either complete dumbasses or just complete dickheads. Often a combination of both. And that's really where it really starts to bug me with Ranma 1/2. It's not even the misunderstandings. I can deal with the misunderstandings at this point because also Akane seems smart enough to see through the misunderstandings most of the time. And when Ranma's on the end of the misunderstandings, he kind of deserves it. But what happens is Akane just gets treated like shit for a lot of this season. And it's so obvious. The final straw was the play, the Romeo and Juliet thing. And it's Ranma, you're a fucking prick. You cannot be that fucking oblivious when she says, this is something I've been wanting to do my entire life. Don't fuck it up for me. And then he proceeds to just deliberately fuck it up. Not deliberately, but very obviously fuck it up. And I was just I'm so fucking done. At this point, I don't want them to be in a relationship. I don't want them to get together because Ranma is so fucking toxic. I understand the connotation of what I'm saying with that word when I use that word, but fuck, he is just a piece of shit. I thought I was gonna have to deal with Happosai being a piece of shit for this season, but he's only in 2.5 episodes, at least of what I saw. So thankfully, he's not in this that much, although he still sucks shit. He is even worse than I remember him being in the manga. He sucks so bad. Unfortunately, he's kind of an important character, so you can't cut him entirely. But I congratulate them for mitigating him as much as they did. He still sucks shit, but they did mitigate him. But even that was not enough for me to overlook the very obvious Akane being treated so fucking badly part of this show. Like, it's really heartbreaking to watch at times because it's like so obvious. And yet, man, like, I was constantly thinking of more dramatic resolutions to the things that were happening on screen, and knowing that they were never going to happen because this is a rom-com manga that went for like 400 chapters or something, or like 380 chapters or something. And we're probably not even at the 100 chapter mark with season 2. Probably not even close to that. So, like, there's still way more to go. I dropped the manga like 2/3 through about, because I just got tired of the repetitiveness of it all. But this one, I feel like it's not even the repetitiveness of the will they, won't they. It's the, oh my god, I kind of hope they don't. Because, Jesus, man. Ranma, come on. But, I mean, yeah. And it's not like there wasn't anything good about this season. We finally got Ukyo's best girl, as she was in the manga, because she is the only fucking normal goddamn human being in this show besides Akane. And she's just very straightforward with what she wants. And it's like, I guess Shampoo's like that too, but I just could never vibe with Shampoo. She just wasn't, never got the appeal with her, other than hot, which, like, this show is not hot, I guess, which I don't think it's really trying to be, but wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. But yeah, and also the Ukyo's introduction, it's super obvious that she's a girl and not a boy. Like, from the way it's visually presented, even if you put her in a boy's uniform, she looks like a girl. So it's very obvious that she's a girl. So even if I didn't know that she was a girl from reading the manga, probably would have guessed it from watching it. But you know what? She's fun. I like her. It's a shame she's trapped in this show. I liked the stuff with the old granny character. She was fun. Some of the action cuts are still really fun. There's some really nice camera work and choreography going on. But there's also, like, a little bit of cheapness to some of the more less important shots, I guess you could say. There's a little bit more jank this time around than I remember in the first season. Maybe there was some in the first season and I just didn't notice it. But yeah, I would say this visually, it's a slight step down from the first season. I like the cartooniness of it all, but, like, the cartooniness also gets in the way of me actually caring about a lot of the characters at times, because I know the status quo is just going to be reset. That's within the near future, and it's just going to keep getting reset over and over and over again, and I just don't want to deal with that. I just don't. I am over the forever rom-com. I don't want the forever rom-com anymore. I know that's been a staple of the anime industry for like forever, but I just don't like it, especially when the humor is this mean at times. I just don't like it anymore.
Alright, Ranma is unfortunately coming off the list. What a bummer. Was really hoping I would like that, but guess not.